Boys and girls of SEA's 7th and 8th grade science class. He may not have a hair on his head, but he has a plan. A lesson plan. Mr. C.
Well, you know what day it is. Happy Downhill Day. It's all downhill after today. You'll be 60% done toward getting to your 3-day weekend coming up. Woo! I'm excited about that as well. My voice isn't so good today. I have water at the ready, but I'll tough it out. I can't believe I totally biffed on this and I forgot. You know what I forgot? I forgot to wish you yesterday, because it was September 1st, happy 1st of the month. So a belated happy 1st of the month. So I thought of it and went, I'd forgotten to do it. Okay, you're doing your do nows. You're making it a habit, right? Every day. So, and I know Mr. Gilbert's helping you too. Your LPs are out, your lesson planners, aka assignment books. You're putting homework in those lesson planners. And your homework is R for your Friday test. And then you have some lake analysis to do, a lake level analysis worksheet. I'll call it a double LA, lake level analysis worksheet. That's where you're going to analyze, you're going to look at the lake level data, and you're going to answer some questions about this first section of lake levels. So anyway, more in a little bit. You know this is SSR turn-in day, so at the end of the period, God gives us all these SSRs to enjoy. That would be a good test question, wouldn't it? Starring that a little bit somewhere, are you? Just making note. Journals out, of course. So anyway, that's coming up as far as homework. Now, just here's what the test could cover. It could, first of all, cover these locks. I'm going to call them locks because there's just no way they're not going to be in the test. They're in there. It's a lock. So John 1 through 3, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He, the Word, was in the beginning with God. All things came into being by Him, and without Him, nothing came into being that has come into being. So you're going to write that, plus the meanings, probably a couple of meanings on John 1 to 3. Genesis 1:26 that I just taught you. Then God said, let us, the Trinity, make man in our image, in our likeness. What's the idea there? Well, evolutionists are constantly trying to deceive us and convince us that we're just animals, that we're just the most intelligent animal, but animals nonetheless. We don't have a soul and spirit. There's nothing to us but our physical body, which is baloney. So that is so not true. So how are we different from the animals and like God at the same time? So here they are. Now listen as I go through this list and add to your list in your journal, how are we different from the animals and share God's likeness. So here they are. Way more intelligent. You've already got that. We can reason. We'll live forever. Eternal. Creativity. So way more intelligent, eternal, creativity. We have a soul and spirit. The real us. The invisible you and me that will live forever, that lives in our temporary house. Our bodies are temporary houses for the real us, our soul and spirit. Our soul and spirit One day, when this body, this house, temporary house doesn't work anymore, we get a brand new perfect body that's going to last forever. What's it going to be like? We don't exactly know. There's some hints for another time. Now's not the day to do that. So soul and spirit, a conscience, it's conscience. Conscience, conscience. That's how it's spelled. A sense of right and wrong. Animals don't have that. We have hyper emotions. We are very emotional beings, feelings. We are self-conscious. Self-conscious. We're aware we exist. We know we exist. Ask yourself, am I alive? Do I exist? And you're going, duh, you can just sense it. So self-conscious, self-aware. Here's a new one. Dominion over the animals. God gave us dominion over the animals. We dominate them. We rule them. Now some of you are going, come on. How do we dominate a polar bear? Polar bears will actually stalk humans. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time in the Arctic. Polar bear bait. No, thank you. But anyway, so how do we dominate or have dominion over polar bears? Well, we can reason to not be where they are, where dangerous animals are. Or, we can, a polar bear is coming in, boom, and no more polar bear. I mean, we have dominion over them. Sorry, did I scare you? Sorry. So anyway, just demonstrating dominion. So we have dominion over them, and what do I have last? Can you believe? Oh, well, I did this on purpose. What's the last one? And it should probably, in fact, it's got to be in your answers. So on your test, let's just say, for instance, I ask you for 4 ways that you are like God, aka different from the animals. What's got to be in there? And probably number uno. What would that be? Made in God's image, of course. Made in his image. Okay, so guarantee those things are going to be in there. The verses, the meanings of the verses, and then ways that we're different from animals. Now, yesterday I taught you about 2 kinds of germs, right? A few things to add. So in your journal, find that little section where you wrote about the 2 kinds of germs. First, there are the very tiny little ones. You know how you can remember them? They're very tiny. You know how you'll remember them? Vaccines are very tiny. That's how you can remember. So I'll try it again. Can't believe I did that. Viruses, it starts with V, are very tiny. Viruses, very tiny. And what kind of medicine kills a virus? It's real small. A vaccine. So it's kind of easy. They both start with V. So vaccines kill viruses. Sorry, I'd write that down. Okay. Kind of easy to remember that. Hey, have you got a little tip for us on bacteria? Do I ever have a little tip for you? Listen to this. A-B. A-B. Antibiotics kill B bacteria. Antibiotics kill bacteria. Now, a few questions about them. Which ones are larger? Of course, bacteria are, and the way to remember it is bigger. Double B. Bacteria are bigger. The viruses are very tiny. Don't do that anymore, Mr. C. I'm going to get sick. Okay, I'll try not to do it anymore. Viruses are very tiny. Okay, that was the last time for today. So, and then Here are some examples of antibiotics. Amoxicillin. I'll bet a number of you have been on amoxicillin before. Penicillin, sort of the first. Amoxicillin is a kind of penicillin. Penicillin was actually developed in 1929, about 90 years ago. Just 90 years ago. There are people alive today that were alive before penicillin. Isn't that something? I think I just read like the oldest person now on the earth is like 115 or something like that, and still, pretty active. So antibiotics like amoxicillin and penicillin kill bacteria, A, B. And then Zithromax, many of you have been on Zithromax. I've been on Zithromax. And then I'm going to ask you some COVID questions, most likely. And you remember about COVID, it's a coronavirus. That means it has a corona around it, or a halo. Yeah, that means halo. Corona means halo. And then the VI is for virus and D for disease. So corona, virus, disease is the idea. COVID. And then 19 for the year, right? When it first started to show up, I think in December of 2019. Now, a few questions that I'll ask you. I think you've already got this information about COVID. Why is COVID so dangerous? Well, first, do we have a vaccine for it right now? It's a virus. We don't have a vaccine for it. So that makes it dangerous. And it's got some bad symptoms. And it attacks the lungs and can even shut down breathing. And if it shuts your breathing down, that's not good. You're going to have to be on a respirator, and you might not make it. So, and there's a lot we don't know about COVID. So those are some things that make it kind of dangerous, and it really nails seniors. Why would that be? Well, their immune systems aren't as good anymore. Systems gradually don't work as well over time as you get older and older. And when you get into your late 60s and 70s and 80s, your immune system not working as good or so good. Mine's working pretty good for a guy my age. So, but still, don't take chances. I'm not taking chances. So anyway, now, flu can be just as dangerous for seniors. That's why every year my wife and I get the latest high-powered vaccine, a special vaccine for seniors that attacks flu virus. So anyway, some people say right now that COVID is more dangerous than the flu. Do we really know that for sure? Not really. The kind of final story isn't in yet. The final data isn't in on that. They're both really bad for seniors, we know that. And they can both cause really bad lung issues like pneumonia with flu, and then really bad lung infections with COVID. Now, what takeaways do I want you young'uns to get about COVID? Well, first of all, young people rarely get bad cases, if get it at all, because our immune systems are so strong. Good news for you, huh? So that's why I'm telling you this. It's good news for you. So, or young people might just be asymptomatic. They've got it, but they're not showing any symptoms at all. A means no or not, and symptomatic, symptoms, showing evidence in your body that you've got a certain disease. That would be symptoms. Okay? So lots of asymptomatic young people probably. And then they get tested and they show that they've got antibodies for it. So they were attacked by it, but it didn't do much. So lucky you. Thank the Lord for that. So anyway, well, Mr. C, what's the big deal then about, us being careful and all? Well, here's the big takeaway. You young'uns can get it, and big whoop, it doesn't really hurt you very much, or you don't even notice you got it. So, well, Why do we need to worry? Because you could pass it on to people who are vulnerable, like seniors. And here's the other takeaway about seniors. Seniors that get COVID and have other things that are wrong with their bodies, they've got other health issues, they are especially vulnerable. And I'm in that category. And that's why I'm here, like I've said before. So the point is, you want to be careful to not get it so you don't pass it on to your grandparents or senior citizens in your church maybe, or just friends of your family. So those are the takeaways. You young'uns probably almost certainly aren't going to get it, or if you get it, it's going to be a light case or an asymptomatic case. But you can pass it on to people that it could really be dangerous to. So, anywho, so there you go with that. So this test coming up is going to be, it's going to have locks, like your two verse sets, John 1:1-3, and Genesis 1:26, and their meaning, so you can't spend too much time reviewing that, triple R that big time. And then germs, I'm just going to say, viruses that are very tiny. Sorry. I guess I did promise that I wouldn't do that. And bacteria, it's a lock. They're going to be on there, and the information about them, the information about COVID. So count on it. The possibles include all the information that you studied for last week's test on water conservation, and the weather, especially Arizona weather. The two rainy seasons, where does the water come from? The two places that it comes from during our rainy seasons, either from the Pacific Ocean, the Paco, or from the Gulf of Mexico. So those two places. So the water cycle, evaporation, condensation, precipitation, jet stream, all of that. So study the water cycle to the max. Water conservation, ways to save water. Those are possibles. Okay? They possibly could be on the test, so study those. Okay. Then you had your human body diagram paper, which is due today. So you're seeing a photo right now of the digestive system, so you can see where everything fits. I didn't expect you to put them in the right place. I didn't. See if you were close with the digestive system, the esophagus, stomach, small intestine, large intestine, all that, all those organs. And then the respiratory system on the other side that involves breathing, the trachea or windpipe, and then it branches into the bronchioles, into the lungs, which are loaded with 1 million air sacs each. By the way, the problem with COVID and the lungs, they fill up with liquid, and then you can't exchange oxygen and carbon dioxide in your lungs anymore in those little alveoli or air sacs. So that's the issue with that. So see if you hooked it up right. Trachea, and then the branches or bronchioles, and then the lungs. And then the brain, 3-pound miracle that it is, with the probably trillions of connections, neuronal connections, made of nerves, neurons, that connect, all those connections. So, or neuronal pathways. Laura talked about that some. And you want to lay down neuronal pathways to remember things. So, anyway, there's your brain. Amazing miracle. Now, all of these parts that you just did, you probably want to put them in your divine design section of your journal. And here's the point. Could they have ever organized themselves? How about your brain and all the neurons? Could the neurons have developed all by themselves? Evolved? Of course not. It's ridiculous to even think about it. Just silly. My favorite adjective that means ridiculous is ludicrous. It's just ludicrous. It's just silly to even think about. That's the evolution idea. Could your digestive system have organized itself and hooked up? Could it have ended up being just the right size for each organ and positioned in the right location in your body, in your torso, and then hook up with the correct nearby organs all by itself? Again, of course not. No way. So it's a God thing, and that's what I wanted you to see. Just all the amazing design of the size, shape, location, and hookup just right. So amazing. Okay, really quick, I want to give you your answers to your test that you just took. So here they are. So really quick, your verses in John 1, I'm not going to go over them, you know what they are. So I'll just grade it accordingly. I hope by Friday to have your tests graded and in the computer. So, by the way, a reminder, turn your work in on time, and if you don't turn in work, you've still got to do it, unless you've decided you're going to use your one freebie, which I wouldn't, which I would save until it's an emergency and you really need it. Anyway, the verses mention the word, who is the word? Jesus, of course. And then the two specific separate meanings from these verses, that Jesus is God, Jesus was eternal, Jesus was with the Father, Jesus made everything, there's nothing he didn't make. Where do our two rainy seasons originate? Where does the moisture come from? I just did it, Paco and Gulf of Mexico. So the bodies of water. Meteorology is a scientific study of weather, an event that occurs over and over and over, a cycle. What is the meaning of ology? Any study of, scientific study of something, like geology, study of the earth, geo. A wind-driven blob of moisture, monsoon. Draw and label the four kinds of cloud types, cumulus, and then stratus, cirrus, the little bitty ones up way high on cumulonimbus, that lately have been causing us wind and rain in some places in the valley, and even hail. So anyway, bad weather, violent weather. Most of the water that ends up in Phoenix storage lakes falls as what kind of precipitation? Let it snow, let it snow, let it snow, snow. Roosevelt Lake is famous for being the largest of the storage lakes, larger than all the other lakes combined. The water in the storage lakes is very drinkable after being, I'll try it again. At first it's undrinkable, really dirty. Where does it get cleaned up? Water treatment plants. Water treatment plants. We should all be conserving water. What does conserve mean? To save. Two characteristics of good goals: that they have been written down, that they are, let's see, how do I say it? Succinct. They're clear, a clear idea of a goal. They're doable, but they're still challenging, and then you check them regularly. Give two blue whale divine designs. They are sleek, so they can cut through the water. Blowholes are up on top. They've got fins to end up changing direction with or navigate. Tail flukes for driving them through the water. So, and baleen for filtering out the krill, other food that they eat as well. So there's 5 right there. So 2 things we should be doing to conserve water: short showers, water on, off, and any drip police, any drip you see, turn off the tap if you can. What are the man-made rivers around Phoenix called that carry water from lakes to water treatment plants? canals. And then you had to draw and label the water cycle. So I will check it to see how well you did. So I'll check that. So there you have your test answers. SSRs you're turning in today. I'll look forward to reading your SSRs, a couple of my SSRs. So I showed you this. I had, for a few years, I had my eye on this ball glove, and I just love playing catch with it. In fact, I like this glove so much, I bought it for my sons-in-law, my 3 sons-in-law, and I love playing catch with them, and I bought it for my grandson, Braden. So anyway, when I'm down in Oz, take my glove down, so I love that. And then my Grand Slam SSR, lifetime SSR really, one of probably the top 10 that I'll ever experience in all my life. In March, my wife and I never expected this, but it just fell into place in 2019, and then we got to go in 2020. Some of you 8th graders remember. We got to spend 9 days in Israel, God's country, biblical country, and 5 days in Jerusalem. 5 days. We got to ride a boat on the Sea of Galilee where Jesus calmed the wind, made it stop, made the boat move really quick to land. So where he walked on water. We got to be in Jerusalem, which is the city of the great king. It's Jesus' city. He's going to set up his kingdom in Jerusalem for 1,000 years in the future. Wow. And I got to wander around it. I got to stand in the pool of Siloam, which doesn't have any water anymore, where Jesus, and it's the same pool. We really think it's the same pool, where Jesus got to, he told the guy who was blind, where he put mud on his eyes, he told him, go wash in the pool of Siloam. So the guy went to that very pool that I was standing in, washed off his eyes, and opened his eyes, and he had been blind all his life. I can see. Can you imagine seeing color for the first time? Blue skies, clouds, his home city, his parents, his siblings, his friends. Never seen them. Anyway, I got to stand in the pool of Siloam. I got to look at the gate, the Golden Gate, where tradition says Jesus is going to come back through. Right now it's cemented up, like he's going to have a hard time going through that gate when he comes back. If he can speak the universe into existence, I'm thinking he'll be able to go through the Golden Gate. No problemo. Anyway, so we got to see that. And then I got to do a devotion standing on the southern steps of Jerusalem, looking up at 2 gates that are walled up now. But when Jesus went up to the temple to teach and to throw out the money changers and anything he did up there in the temple, which now isn't there, but a 3rd temple is going to be rebuilt in the future. Anyway, when Jesus went up there, he went right up through those gates right there, that where I'm staring at, right up there when we were there. The whole of the gates, he went right up through those gates. And I was standing right on the very steps doing my devotional, the very layer that he stood on. He stood on those steps. The Son of God, who created the universe, walked right over there, and I'm standing on the very steps that he crossed on. Pretty exciting. So, hope you get to go sometime to Israel. Anyway, a couple of my SSRs. Then, for homework tonight, you're going to do analysis on this. I'm getting there. You've got this. Lake levels for RL, Roosevelt Lake on one side, for October 1st, 2018, all the way down to August 1st, 2019, like 10 months worth. Or, yeah, I think that's right. Let's see. Yep. And then you've got TL for total lakes. Anyway, Mr. Gilbert will help you if you're missing, a few months' data or a month's data. Now, you're going to use this data right here, this information, for answering these questions. So I'm going to have a worksheet for you, and I'm going to ask questions like this. It's here somewhere. I've got to dig it up. There it is. So I'm going to have you analyze the data. That means study it and make some conclusions from it, or hypotheses. What months on the Roosevelt Lakeside show the biggest change between 2 months? So you'll write down the 2 months and how much change was there percentage-wise. You'll do the same thing on the total lakeside. And then what 3-month block, so what 3-month block, 3 months, show the greatest change? So write down the 3 months that show the greatest change. Itchy lip. And what are the specific months and how much change? And then how much overall change was there in the 8 months from October 1st, 2018 to, I'm going to ask for June 1st, 2019. So those will be the questions on the worksheet. He will give you that worksheet tomorrow. So lake level analysis. So he's going to hand out that worksheet, and you're going to have a time to start it probably. So he'll answer any of your questions about the video. Reminder about all the videos. They are now up on YouTube. They're all there. You can get them. So if you are absent one day, you can just go up on YouTube on your own anytime you want and watch that video, and then take notes in your journal. And then also, if let's say you're a remote learner, an RLO student, and for some reason you have some kind of equipment issue and you're not able to watch the videos, you can go in and get them now. So where do we look? Mr. C's 7th, 8th grade science videos, they should come up on YouTube. In the window on YouTube, type in Mr. C's 7th, 8th grade science videos, and they should pop up. So you should be able to get those. Tomorrow I'm going to show you a wonderful 5-minute video about mathematics. Some of you are going, maybe you're not a math fan. You'll be a math fan, though, after you watch this. It has nothing to do with working on any math problems or doing math homework. It just has everything to do with mathematics and God. There is an awesome connection between math and God. Tomorrow, that'll be tomorrow. And then also tomorrow, I'll one more time review a little bit with you for the test number 2, coming up this Friday, on this happy Aloha Friday. Well, I miss you. I wish I could get to teach up in front of you. That's the really fun part, getting to see you and getting to talk with you and interact with you. And I'm sad that I can't, but who knows, maybe later in the year. I'll see you on Thursday. Adios.